Ladies and gentlemen, it's here, Wolfman, a movie people have been super excited for. I was a little hesitant because it was a January release, notoriously the dumping ground of bad films. However, we have the director who did Invisible Man, a movie celebrated by many, including myself, and I thought, you know what? Let's let this guy cook. We might have ourselves a good film. And so here we are today with a recap video. While the movie did overall entertain me, I did point out that it was not that great and it has a whole lot of problems. Overall, I enjoyed it. I think other people can if they keep their expectations a lot lower than they probably are going in. And you might find yourself having a good time. But if you don't want to waste your hard-earned money going to the movies and you just want to hear some jackass explain things for a little while, I think I'm the guy for the job. Or maybe you saw the movie and you're hoping I'm going to complain about some of the things you had a problem with and point out some of the positives of the film. Let's get to it. Before we go on this journey together, if you wouldn't mind just scratching that subscribe really quickly and scratching that notification bell. That way your YouTube feed gets infected with the awesomeness that is Adam Does Movies. I'm Adam, I do the movies. And let's do Wolfman. Sounds hot. Set in the picturesque woods of Oregon, we meet up with our main protagonist and his papa as they're hunting wild game. And no, I'm not talking about the fine ladies of Oregon. No, they're hunting animal. Just a couple guys out in the town looking for a fresh meal. Blake is learning the ropes from his old man on how to stay alive, how to stay safe, and how to fend for yourself. These are all skills that someone should have. Maybe they could be told though from an actual father and not so much an army general. Because Blake's not happy with his childhood, but we'll get to that in a little while. Right now I want to talk about this opening scene, which I found to be the best part of the film. It's really great. It takes place in the day. You can see things, unlike a lot of the later stuff, intentionally or unintentionally. And these guys are going to be tracking a deer to hunt. Blake, being the dumbass little kid he is, tries to take the high ground. While, yes, it did work for Obi-Wan, the kid's not going to be so fortunate as the only game in his sights are that of a wolfman. Now, in my review, I think I was very cautious not to say werewolf more than maybe one time, because in actuality, this is not a werewolf film. There's no werewolves in this movie. A werewolf by design is a man that turns into this disgusting, hairy creature when a full moon arises. Can only be killed with a silver bullet. There's some other nuances about the creature, but that's not this. This is a movie about a wolf man, or maybe more appropriately, a man wolf. A guy that mostly stays man, but gets a tad hairier, infected with the wolf virus. And that's just gonna be a problem for people. People expecting a werewolf movie. I fully understand that as someone that's seen a lot of werewolf movies and kind of gets it all. I was okay with this new direction. It kept me hooked. I found some of the ideas very interesting, but I have a review that talks about the pros and the cons. Let's keep going with this story. All right, so this kid sees a werewolf, pulls the gun away. He's like, was that, what the fuck was that? Papa comes over. He's like, what the hell are you doing, you stupid idiot? Huh? Why did you leave my side? Did you put your name in the goblet of fire, you piece of shit? Did you put your name in the goblet? I'm trying to keep you safe, kid, okay? I'm trying to keep you safe. And this is gonna be the message of the movie. The sins of the father, the sins of the son sort of situation. Blake is gonna grow up to be the opposite of his dad. He doesn't like how his dad raised him. He's got a lot of childhood trauma. He's got his own daughter now to raise. He wants to be a dad that's more communicative with his daughter. He wants to hug her, show affection, but still be stern when needed to. Very different approaches between these two gentlemen, but at the end of the day, they might find themselves sharing some similarities. Anyway, I love this opening scene because the father leads the son up to a deer stand where they can get a good lay of the land. He assumes it's a bear because of the loud noise, the crashing sounds. The dad's up against the corner. He's got the gun pointed right at the breath that's coming up over the side. It's chilling. You're not sure what's gonna happen. And then kakoosh! You hear a few loud noises, some more crashing sounds, and the creature is gone, leaving in its wake a dead deer. There's some great landscape shots here, some beautiful vistas, wide angle scenes where the dad and the son kind of look off on the horizon at all the trees and the river below. It's beautiful. And the only other scene we get with these two is going to be back at the house the father has. He goes down in the basement. He's on his little radio walkie-talkie, communicating with one of the neighbors about how he had the creature in his sights. He's familiar with this werewolf dude, and that's why they're going out there. He really wants to take this thing out. And then we're gonna jump forward in time where Blake is around his father's age with his own daughter, whose name is Ginger. I'm guessing that was a not so subtle reference to the film Ginger Snaps. Christopher Abbott's very solid in the performance, but we're gonna get to one of the two major weaknesses this film has going for it. And that's the acting from the ladies. The daughter, just really not great, really lame. I know it's a kid actor, I don't wanna knock her. She's young, she'll get better, but this was not a good first impression for me. And Charlotte is played by Julia Garner. Julia's been doing this for a while. She's amazing in Ozark, but she's just not it here. And I can't stand that she always has the same damn haircut and face that kind of blends into the hairstyle. She looks like a fucking cherub. I'm gonna give a shout out to one of my movie friends, Gabby, who made that comment. That's not my reference and joke, that's hers. So thank you, Gabby, if you watch this video. It was very funny when you said that. But I do agree, she needs to grow the hair out, put a wig on her or something, because I can't get the view of her trailer park character out of my brain. The second problem with this film is the script. I don't care that the movie is not about werewolves killing a whole bunch of people. As cool as that would be, we did just have a werewolves movie that came out late last year, and that was the entire plot of it. That movie was not good. This was better than that in my opinion, because it had more going for it. But the dialogue in this, and just the way characters interact with each other, feels so unnatural. It felt like I was playing a video game, and this becomes apparent as soon as Charlotte and Blake start to talk. Charlotte is a journalist. Does it matter though? Not at all. That profession will not play into anything in this movie. So what's the point of fucking telling us? Just so that she can own some dude later on when he's like, oh, what do you do for a living? And Charlotte's like, I'm a journalist. All right, you do you, okay. Blake is a writer, she's a writer, but they don't do anything with that either. It's just, we gotta give them some professions, I guess, and that's that. But they're also struggling with their marriage. They don't seem happy with each other. And that's the big problem I have with the story. Why put us with people that don't have a connection already? And then Blake starts to get lost and slip away from Charlotte and his daughter because he's turning into this creature because of a virus. There's already a severance of the connection between these two. The movie would have worked much better had they had a strong relationship. Then you really feel that pain when the loved one starts to slip away. And it does not help that Garner plays this role like she's a robot. I've seen this woman emote like crazy in Ozarks. Why is she so dead here? Anyway, speaking of dead, Blake gets the call that his old man has croaked. But they don't come right out and say he's dead. They say he has been declared deceased, which tells me right away, okay, his dad's a werewolf. It's so obvious, and maybe it's not supposed to, it didn't seem like they really played it off like a big reveal, like, oh, dad? But it was still kind of like, okay, he's presumed dead, right? Blake thinks this is the perfect kick in the ass this family needs to jumpstart a better relationship and a closeness by heading up to Oregon, checking out the old place. So they pack up the U-Haul, they head up there. Blake has a hard time remembering what road it's on. He comes into contact with some buttfuck hillbilly. The hillbilly's like, oh yeah, this is my road. You want to go up just a little ways? That's where your pops lives, but you can't go over there. That's closed off. I'll take you. He gets in the car with them. They start chatting it up. They drive over, and it goes from day to night, I guess, in 10 seconds there, because he said it was just a little ways up the road. They drove for quite a while. And they don't even make it to the damn house because staring right down the road at them is the Wolfman. Blake, in his infinite wisdom, whips the wheel, flipping the U-Haul on its side into a tree. They are dangling in the air like they're in a Jurassic Park film. Hillbilly falls out the passenger door. Oh, you dipshit. And that's when we get a decent shot of the Wolfman. He starts ripping into the dude, pulls him away, and then woof, he swipes at the car, smashing through the window and right into Blake's arm. Ouchie! Jerk! Ow! Ooh! They get out of the big van and they make their way to the house. Dun, 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 dun. Hurry! He's coming! Dun, 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 dun. Jangle with the keys. Jingle, 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 jingle. They get inside. Slam the door, and Blake's starting to already think, oh no, I think Dad was right. There's some sort of crazed lunatic wolf thing after us. Shit. Shit, 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 shit. Anybody up for some jerky? The infection's already starting to set in. His senses are on the rise. He's smelling things. He's hearing things more clearly. They go downstairs into a back room. He finds a bunch of hanged meat and nice piece of leftover jerky that no sane person would eat, but he's out of his mind. Julia Garner's gonna give a powerhouse reaction here, as such. This will be the same reaction she gives for every single thing that happens to her. Although the actress playing Ginger is not too solid, she does have a bond with the father that's at least okay. She does the whole face-off thing, touching the head. What are you thinking right now? And the dad's always like, it's that I love you and I want to protect you and keep you safe. It's always that. And we, the audience, know this because the movie has presented it that way. Blake scolded Ginger when we first meet them because she's walking on top of some divider right next to a busy road. Blake says, "Get down from there! What are you thinking?" Ginger, "You yell at me." Hey, dumbass, that was probably the most gentle reaction anyone would have to what you just did. He has no blame here. Anyway, back to this house that we're going to be very acquainted to because almost the entire film is going to take place here. Occasionally they'll run outside and then they'll go back into the house. Then they'll run outside, go back into the house, wash, rinse, repeat. And yes, I did overall enjoy this movie somehow, even though I'm being very down on it. It had a good pace for me, and I was like invested in the tension. I thought it was shot very well. I thought, again, the wolf stuff was very cool. I like the idea of it slowly infecting him, kind of turning into the Fly Jeff Goldblum style. Outside of the home, we don't know it yet, but it's Blake's dad. Everybody knows it. Skulking around the place, trying to get in, hitting the door once in a while. Come on! While they're in the home, you would think they would maybe search out for some weapons. The dad was an avid hunter. Maybe there's a gun somewhere, a rifle, a crossbow, something. Tomahawk. They find a kitchen knife. That's what they're going to use, a kitchen knife. It's at this point Blake is starting to trip balls. I love every time we get his vantage point because he sees his family. They're recognizable at first, but every time we go back to this view, they start to get more and more unrecognizable. Even their dialogue becomes muffled. He's not understanding them. He knows that he's turning into something he does not want to be. His old man. Oh, I see you. I see you, Lee Winnell. That's the writer and the director of this. Since Blake is really starting to check out, it's up to Charlotte to take the bull by the horns, which means thinking about how they can possibly get out of this. Well, there is a truck outside. It's old. Can't imagine it would run. She has the foresight to look for a battery. Wouldn't you know it? Pops has a fresh battery just downstairs on the tool bench, right next to a box with his keys. That's nice. Honestly, credit to this character. My dumbass would look for some keys and bolt out to that truck, not even thinking that the thing probably wouldn't start up. But no, Charlotte, she's quick on her feet. She's what we in the industry, she's what we in the biz would consider a strong female lead. And for a werewolf movie that doesn't feature a werewolf, it's about time. She, Blake, and the daughter take off to the truck. It, of course, doesn't start, but she pops the hood. She hooks up the battery, somehow doesn't get shocked out of her mind when she turns the truck on and then grabs the hot wire, pulls it off. She's perfectly fine. Gets in the truck, turns on the windshield wipers, and then the werewolf's like, "Surprise, motherfucker!" Woof. It smashes in with his hand. It grabs the steering wheel. No, it grabs the clutch. Pops that thing off. She's not going anywhere. Family has to get out. His arm's stuck in the windshield. They run to a greenhouse, pop up a ladder, and climb on top of the thing. Grab the ladder, pull it up. Smart. It's just smart. All of them are up top. What's not so smart is putting your entire body weight on the plastic instead of going on the metal beams. You would think the dad or the mom would say, "Hey, Ginger, dipshit, come over here, sit on the beams. Don't put your whole body weight out on the open surface." Werewolf smells what they're cooking. He goes inside and he starts jumping like Michael Jordan to cut this thing. He eventually does rip it. She falls down halfway, feet are dangling, kind of like that scene in Jurassic Park. What, is this just a Jurassic Park ripoff? They pull her up, and this is where Blake, being the honorable dad that he is, who's sworn to protect his daughter with all of his might and power, says, I'm gonna create a diversion. He takes off into the woods, leading his dad away so that they can get back into the house. A house that for some reason Charlotte locked the front door of again. What? Why would you lock the door? I don't know. She's fumbling with the keys. They get back inside. The dad makes it in also, but he's fucking cut up. He's ragged. And I don't know when this takes place in the order of events because this is all fresh off of my mind. But at one point in a nasty ass scene, Blake and Charlotte are in the room and she sees that he's bleeding through his shirt. She starts to unspool the bandages, completely blood soaked. It looks like his bones are showing. He sees this and starts scratching the crap out of it and he's gnawing at his bones like a wild dog. And she reacts how all of us would. Listen, I know there's such thing as fight or flight, and I know that there's people that get caught like a deer in the headlights, but she's kind of both. At different points in time, she's shocked, and then she's quick on her feet, and she's able to get things done. What is this character? After one more confrontation with the dad werewolf, where he puts his arm through a doggy door, grabs Blake again, and starts gnawing at his leg, they finally are free from him for a little while. And this is the most interesting stuff in the movie for me. This is where Blake is really starting to lose his mind. They're becoming shells of their former self to him. We get lights going down to pitch black, showcasing that he's lost in some sort of a void, losing himself altogether, and eventually becoming a threat to the ones that he loved. I don't know how the old man gets into the house, somehow breaking through the front door for whatever reason, and not that important. What's important is the two of them fight to the death and Blake eventually reigns supreme. But this is going to take his transformation to another level. He runs outside, his nails start to rip off with new fingernails coming in. His nose starts forming into more of a snout. He's losing his hair but regrowing new hair. He never becomes a furball though. He becomes a guy that needs a good shower, shave, and a cut. But Charlotte says, yeah, we're gonna cut and run. She and Ginger Snaps run to the barn, they lock the door, and they just kind of stand in pitch blackness next to a beam, just standing there like, Werewolf Daddy digs under the door, crawls inside, peekaboo. And this is another sequence that I think is awesome. We, the audience, see what Charlotte sees, which is blackness. Outside of a little tiny window with a little bit of light peeking in, there's really nothing to see here. But Blake sees everything. And this is a very eerie shot because as that camera turns around, we see that he is dead face to face with Charlotte. And he starts to lean in and whoosh! Bear trap closes on his leg. It's a good thing Charlotte had the foresight to set up a bear trap right next to her. I would have no idea how to do that. She's a journalist, though. Journalists know how to do a lot of things. That's the character development I get from her. She and her daughter run out of the barn. He starts gnawing his leg off. They beeline it through the woods. The father barrels after them, now on all fours. They happen upon the U-Haul, where not far away they find the rifle of the friend. Charlotte grabs it. Good thing she knows how to use it. She's a journalist! They head further into the woods where they see the deer stand, climb up that, and oh my God, look at the parallels, folks. The beginning, the ending, the father, it's all coming full circle. And he climbs that ladder, and that breath shows up as Charlotte, just like his dad did, aims that gun right at his goddamn head. But he takes a gentler approach. Clasps it. Hi, guys. He can't talk. He's just like... It's very clear in his eyes that he's dead now. The Blake that's left is no longer Blake. He even wrote it earlier, which, by the way, I grabbed the trailer footage when I did my edit for my review, and I didn't realize that in the trailer, they alter what he writes on that little napkin. He puts down, when she asks him what's wrong, Charlotte gives him a notepad or something, and he writes down, changing. That's the word he writes. But in the final cut of the movie, he writes dying. I don't really really know why they had to make that. It's a weird thing to edit, but that's what happened. True story. But because, yeah, he's essentially dead, and he wants to be shot and put out of his misery because his goal was to protect his daughter. We know this because he says it like 15 times in the movie. And so the best way to protect her now is to take himself out of the equation. And that's what he does. He's looking for a kill shot from his wife. His wife does not want to do it, so he has to kind of rush him to get that finger pull in the trigger. And boom, she takes him out, falls to his death. Sun finally shines again, and Charlotte and Ginger Snaps make their way to that gorgeous vista that we saw earlier in the film with the father and the son. Now, the mother and the daughter. And so there it is, Man Wolf. A film that's definitely going a different direction than audiences maybe want, but I still thought it was entertaining, and it had at least a story and a message there that was, yeah, very ham-fisted and maybe not the most well thought out. But I like that there is at least a little bit of layer to it. I thought the virus stuff was handled incredibly well, even if some of the acting falls flat. And I think that the story needed a punch up for sure. Let me know your thoughts though. Was this a massive disappointment, or are you like me and you thought, it was a fine watch. I could sit through it again, honestly. I wasn't looking for anything too amazing, especially for a January film. But it is a far cry from Invisible Man, and it's definitely a step down from other werewolf films we've had over the years. But let me know your thoughts. Please think of liking and subscribing to the channel if you haven't. You should have done it earlier, and hit the notification bell. That's just as important, I'm told, by people, the algorithm or something, the robots. Let me know, and hopefully I catch you next time. Take care.